Hi, and welcome to Devar Torah. I'm Megan Yates. This week's Torah portion, Shof'tim, is found in Deuteronomy 16:18 through 21:9. Today we are going to discuss Deuteronomy 17:14 through 20. We are going to look at Adonai's requirements for Israel's king. Then we are going to look at two kings in the Bible, Hezekiah and Solomon. Then finally we are going to compare our Torah portion with the President of the United States.
When you have entered the land Adonai your God has given you, have taken possession of it, and are living there, you may say, I want to have a king over me, like all the other nations around me. In that event, you must appoint as king the one whom Adonai your God will choose. He must be one of your kinsmen. This king you appoint over you. You are forbidden to appoint a foreigner over you who is not your kinsman. However, he is not to acquire many horses for himself, or have the people return to Egypt to obtain more horses, inasmuch as Adonai told you never to go back that way again. Likewise, he is not to acquire many wives for himself, so that his heart will not turn away, and he is not to acquire excessive quantities of silver and gold.
There are three things the kings must not do: acquire too many horses, acquire too many wives, and acquire too much silver and gold. Each king must write a copy of the Torah.
When he has come to occupy the throne of his kingdom, he is to write the copy of this Torah for himself in a scroll, from the one the Kohanim and Leviim use. It is to remain with him, and he is to read in it every day as long as he lives, so that he will learn to fear Adonai his God, and keep all the words of this Torah and these laws and obey them, so that he will not think he is better than his kinsmen, and so that he will not turn aside either to the right or to the left from the mitzvah. In this way he will prolong his own reign and that of his children in Israel.
The result is the king gets to reign longer and his children get to reign after him. Let's talk about two kings in the Bible. The first one we're going to talk about is King Solomon. King Solomon's story can be found in 1 Kings chapter 1 through 11. God promised King David that his son Solomon would be king.
The time came near for David to die, so he commissioned Solomon his son as follows: I am going the way of all the earth. Therefore, be strong, show yourself a man, observe the charge of Adonai your God, to go in his ways and keep his regulations, mitzvot, rulings, and instructions in accordance with what is written in the Torah of Moshe, so that you will succeed in all you do and wherever you go. If you do, Adonai will fulfill what he promised me when he said, if your children pay attention to how they live, conducting themselves before me honestly with all their heart and being, you will never lack a man on the throne of Israel.
Solomon had one of the biggest honors of all time, getting to build the temple of God. Although Solomon was blessed by God, he grew selfish and acquired many wives, horses, and silver and gold.
Solomon amassed chariots and horsemen. He had 1,400 chariots and 12,000 horsemen. He assigned them to the chariot cities and to the king in Jerusalem. The king made silver in Jerusalem as common as stones, and he made cedar as abundant as sycamore fig trees are in the Shephelah. Solomon's horses had been bought from Egypt and from Kev, with the king's agents having bought them from the dealers in Kev at the going price. A chariot from Egypt cost 15 pounds of silver shekels, and a horse 3 3/4 pounds of shekels. All the kings of Hittim and the kings of Aram purchased them at these prices through Solomon's agents. King Solomon loved many foreign women besides the daughter of Pharaoh. There were women from the Moabite, Ammonite, Edomite, Tevondite, and Hittite, nations about which Adonai had said to the people of Israel, you are not to go among them, or they among you, because they will turn your hearts away towards their gods. But Solomon was deeply attached to them by his love. He had 700 wives, all princesses, and 300 concubines. And his wives turned his heart away. For when Solomon became old, his wives turned his heart away towards other gods, so that he was not wholeheartedly with Adonai his God, as David his father had been.
The second king we're going to talk about is King Hezekiah. You can find the story of Hezekiah in 2 Kings chapter 18 through 20.
It was in the 3rd year of Hoshea, the son of Elah, king of Israel, that Hezekiah, the son of Ahaz, king of Yehudah, began his reign. He was 25 years old when he began his reign, and he ruled for 29 years in Jerusalem. His mother was Avi, the daughter of Zechariah. He did what was right from Adonai's perspective, following the example of everything David his ancestor had done. Put his trust in Adonai, the God of Israel. After him there was no one like him among all the kings of Yehudah, nor had there been any among those before him. For he clung to Adonai and did not leave off following him, but obeyed his mitzvah, which Adonai had given Moshe. So Adonai was with him. Whenever he went out to battle, he did well. He rebelled against the king of Ashur and refused to be vassal.
Hezekiah's prayer is important because he shows us how to approach God if we have a need. He was not afraid of his enemies' threats and trusted God. When he is sick and about to die, he calls out to God and God gives him 15 more years. The last thing we're going to talk about is what our president would look like if he kept this mitzvah. What would our president look like if God picked him and he had to be from the United States? Would he perhaps be a friend of Israel? Can you imagine if our president had to write the Declaration of Independence and read it every day? If he had to handwrite the Bill of Rights, do you think he'd remember it? Thank you for studying with me. Shabbat Shalom. Find me on YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe.